Your power goes out, remember just how inconvenient your life can be. No lights, no refrigeration, no heating or cooling, no electronics. But with a Generac home standby generator, you'll have power when you need it. Our Generac generators automatically provide backup power after sensing a power outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Get a free 10-year warranty with the purchase of any air-cooled generator. Call Generac Generators today. Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Streaming from the Tampa Bay 28 Weather Center in Studio A, this is Dennis Phillips Live. Brought to you by Generac Generators. Life is primitive without power.
Oh, Ryan. People are like, what are you talking about? Ryan, my daughter? No. I'm looking at the comments, and we are already responding to comments, and Ryan is like, the rainy season's already arrived. No, it hasn't, Ryan. No, it has not. Climatologically, the rainy season is something that happens over a period of time when we look at the numbers. And the reality of it is, in the month of May, and the water temperature is still only 80 degrees, we just do not have the energy and the fuel needed for spontaneous rains to begin. Now, there are other things that come into play when it comes into getting rain. And while we have a nice area of high pressure off to the southeast, and that's bringing in all that nice tropical moisture, the reality of it is when that high moves or when that moisture is gone, we are right back into May, which is a dry month historically, and one where fire dangers can be a big thing. Oh, by the way, welcome to Dennis Phillips Live. How you doing? See, if you're watching on TV, which we know a lot of folks do, you're only getting half of the experience. And the other half is I'm looking at it on my phone. These are the comments that come in. And there are always, at the very least, even if the show doesn't have a lot going on, there's always the entertainment value of the comments. Because there's always drama, and there's always conversations, and there's a little bit of tomfoolery and a lot of shenanigans. So I'm just telling you, it's always best to be watching on TV on the spot, which we appreciate you immensely, as well as following along right here on your computer or on your phone. So how about yesterday? You know, we finally got, and talk about classic Florida, right? Because some folks got 3 or 4 inches of rain. Some folks got 3 or 4 drops of rain. And that is just the way Florida rolls in the rainy season, which again, we're not there. But while tomorrow I still think we get some decent coverage, we then start to dry out, as we usually do in May, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then by the weekend and into next week, another disturbance comes this way. We got a lot going on tonight. We're going to be talking to an expert on hurricane kit preparedness, on a group that handles the Bay Area, handles recovery, handles preparation, and that's going to be coming up in our second and third block. So bring your questions for hurricane kits, for how do you prepare your home, for all that stuff. And we're going to be doing a lot of that in the upcoming weeks, obviously with hurricane season right around the corner. But before we get to that, let's do some weather. Let's talk about some weather and see what we got going on out there. There's a live look at radar, and there are still some showers out there. By the way, Daniel, how you doing? Good to see you. Kenneth in Palm Harbor, good to see you. Charlotte, nice to see you. So Anna Maria is saying no sound. So, yes, there is, Anna Maria. Yes, there is. Let me bump up the audio. Somebody's saying the audio is a little bit low, so I can bump that up. We've got Alithia, Ann and Alithia. We've got Dominique. We've got Mary talking heat lightning, which is always a plus, one of my favorites. Maria, nice to see you. Stephen in Clearwater, as always. Thunder in Largo right now. Randy in Brooksville. And, yeah, so we definitely have some rain going on. Now let's just take a live look at the radar. There it is. Let's do a little tracking for you, shall we? So let's go ahead and zoom in. Let me tell you, folks in Manatee and Sarasota County, man, they got some serious, serious rain earlier on today. In fact, check this out. I'll go ahead and loop the last 3 hours, and boom, right there along the coast. Really, really heavy rain. But now that rain has ended, and it's kind of moved into southern Pinellas. So you've got the Rays taking on the Orioles. I think the Rays are at home, I believe. Did not look at the schedule. I think they are. Tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But regardless, there is a look at where the rain is from St. Pete back towards St. Pete Beach, Tierra Verde, over to the Skyway, Madeira. And over the last 15 minutes, let's see where this has moved. Actually, the individual cells are trying to move a little bit back toward the southwest. And that is an interesting situation because we also have some rain moving out over the bay and moving into Safety Harbor for round 2. But this is moving more of an east to west. So, you know, you've got these little microscale and mesoscale phenomena. In other words, the little variables that come into play in our area, whether it's the bay breeze, whether it's the Gulf breeze, whatever the case may be, those really, really come into play in terms of how these things are going and the direction in which they're moving. But when we have a southeast wind, the overall pattern leads to increased moisture coming in with better rain chances, all right? When you have a northeast wind, the majority of the time, that brings in drier air into our region. So, as we've said so many times, look, the amount of moisture will vary. Whether we have a tropical air mass or what will vary. But ultimately, many times what the biggest factor is the wind. I mean, that's it. More often than not, it is just the wind direction. If we get an east-southeast wind, we're living large and we're getting our rain in the afternoon and evening. Not everybody, decent coverage. But if you get winds out of the west, it all moves in the opposite direction. And then, unfortunately, most of the rain is inland and over to the East Coast and not for much. Allie's at the Trop. Okay, so yeah, Allie's an Orioles fan. So, yeah, I figured she would be there. Because, yeah, so they are getting rain at the Trop right now. Now, we know the Trop's indoors, but there's some lightning out there as well. All right, so let's look at, again, there's the rain that we had earlier on in Sarasota. That has now ended. Zooming right back into where the heaviest is, just to the west of the Trop, and that is moving to the west. Tracy's like, finally some rain is RSVP'd for St. Pete. Yeah, Winter Haven's not getting so much yet, Crystal. You're the ones who's kind of hoping for more of a westerly flow. All right, outside right now, where it hasn't rained, it's around 90 degrees. Brooksville, Crystal River, 90. Where it has rained, it's in the 70s. 75 in St. Pete, 78 Bradenton, 77 Sarasota, 77 in Venice. Paco, how you doing? Good to see you. So temperatures today hit the low to mid-90s. The hot spot before the rains arrived was Sarasota at 94 degrees, Tampa 93, St. Pete 93. Cool looking sunset there with a thunderstorm, some thunder in the distance at the airport in Tampa, 82 degrees. Humidity is 71%, winds now coming in off the Gulf, south-southwest direction, 10 miles an hour. Tonight's a big basketball game. Game 1, the Spurs and the Thunder. That is going to be a fun series. I'm really looking forward to that one. And I will tell you this, as much as I am a fan of the Thunder, for obvious reasons, I love their name, and the Thunder is a powerhouse. This is my opinion. I think the Spurs are going to give them some problems. I'm not saying the Spurs are going to win that series, but I'm telling you, the Spurs dominated the regular season against them. The Spurs can match up with those guys. I'm just saying. I don't know what I think the Spurs are getting like 6 or 7 tonight, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But, boy, I kind of like the Spurs in that spot. I'm just saying. All right, let's go back. Where were we? Let's go back to WSI. Take this full. All right. 93 the high, the morning low 72, normals are 89, 71. There it is. South-southeast flow continues. And if you look at Futurecast, same setup tomorrow. Sunny in the morning, sunny early afternoon. Robin, very nice to meet you as well. Yeah, I was over at Innisbrook yesterday, and I kept telling people, like, at 5 o'clock, it's going to rain, and that's when they should leave. And it was kind of funny because, you know, I was over there, you know, I was just hanging out, going into the pool, getting some sun, whatnot. And every now and then I would stand up like I was about to leave. And I saw people watching. They're like, oh, man, the weatherman's about to leave. We're about to get rain. I'm like, no, no, no. I literally had to go up to people like, no, no, I'm just standing up. It's okay. But come 5 o'clock, the skies opened up, and it did rain. So, Robin, very nice to meet you as well. So let's take a look at Futurecast through tomorrow. Oh, yeah, you girls were having some fun. I mean, that was a mom's Mother's Day trip. The women from West Chase, they were kind of stalking if I was leaving. Like, all right, is he leaving? Oh, man. Nope, he didn't leave. We're good. And I had said till 5 o'clock. I think you guys were good till 5. So there's a look at Futurecast tomorrow. I do think we're going to have some storms, much like we did today from 4 to 8 o'clock. And then that slightly drier air comes in, and the coverage begins to drop, as it normally does in May, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Holiday weekend at Rams. Look at those temperatures, man. That's some steady temperatures. Lower 90s right on through the weekend. All right, Memorial Day. Well, let's go to Wednesday and Thursday and Friday first. Drier, less rain, scattered stuff. Coverage might be 20%. Saturday into the weekend, I do think there's going to be an increase in coverage, and I'll show you why in the models in just a second. Southeast winds 5 to 10 knots, water temperature 81 degrees in Clearwater. The beach tomorrow, classic. Sunny in the morning, 4 o'clock, there come the storms. 4 to 8 o'clock tomorrow, definitely some storms out there. And there's the 7-day. Rain coverage tomorrow about 40 to 50%, 20 to 30% Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And over the holiday weekend, and quickly let's look at the models, and I'll show it to you, then we got to hit a break. So high pressure anchored off the southeast coast of the U.S. That is exactly what we want for our southeast wind. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, nothing much, just scattered stuff. See what I was saying, Ryan? That is not rainy season pattern, my friend. Not even close. That's the GFS. High pressure sitting right there. That gives us that kind of flow that we're looking for out of the southeast, but you still have to have the moisture. If this were July, we'd be getting pummeled every day. And let's look at the euro real quick. The euro is a little more bullish. There's Tuesday, there's Wednesday. Still, though, not a lot of coverage. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. See, not a lot. But then by late Saturday and late Sunday and late Memorial Day, some decent coverage as the moisture builds. And you can see it's the entire southeast where the moisture builds, not just a micro or mesoscale feature like we get from the summertime rainy season. You learned something, Ryan? Don't be listening to those other guys, I'm telling you. They're going to feed you some nonsense. Anyway, all right, we got to hit a break. We're going to be back to talk all you need to know hurricane preps and recovery and what we did with Helene and Milton and what we're looking ahead to the future in 90 seconds as Dennis Phillips Live continues. Okay, Jose, come on over. All right. Everybody, this is Jose coming up. Jose, this is everyone. We are in a commercial break now, but we're still live on streaming. So I will hold the chair here because it has a tendency to move when you jump up.
Okay.
Got it?
Oh, yeah, I see it. All
Yeah,
right.
the chair moves. Perfect.
All
All right. So I don't know if we want that there. Derek, talk to me. Where do you want the kit? Do you want me just to like bring it up, like lift it? Because are you going to open it up and show
I can
people what's
open
in
it up
Yeah, let's
and
do
show
that.
what is there.
Yeah, let's do that.
So this is the radio,
Okay.
which is an emergency crank
Okay, so we're
radio.
back on in 45 seconds. There's already questions coming in here. We'll save it for when we're actually back out of the commercial break. What was it? The hurricane prep question. What's a good way to sanitize coolers to store extra drinking water?
Oh my.
That's an interesting question. Someone's flying out of Italy. Wants to know, please no rain Friday, flying out for your trip to Italy, Debbie. You're going to be fine. Don't you worry about it. You're going to be okay. All right, we are back. When that break goes down, it's at 21 seconds, so we're good. And I will introduce you, and we'll just answer questions and just talk about what y'all do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm with you. I think the Carolinas are going to have a better chance for a storm, Corey. All right, we're back in 3, 2. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Dennis Phillips Live, and we are almost to hurricane season.
That's right.
And we are here with Mr. Jose Garcia.
Thank you.
And Jose, where are you from?
Originally, you mean?
Well, the group that you're with.
Oh, Rebuilding Together Greater Florida.
Okay.
We used to be called Rebuilding Together Tampa Bay, but as we grew, unfortunately, because of all these storms throughout the state, we changed our name to Rebuilding Together Greater Florida.
And we've got some video here of some of the things you do. Tell us a little bit about what your organization does and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so we deliver residential repairs and rehab services for low-income homeowners throughout the year. Regardless there is a hurricane or not, that's the type of services that we provide. We work with foundations, corporations, the local municipalities, and a lot of volunteers that want to come and help us to do the work in those houses. So we focus a lot on roof replacements, air conditioning, window replacements, bathroom conversions, and then volunteers come around and do exterior painting, landscaping, beautifying the house. So not necessarily all have to be inside the construction, so people can see what we do all the time.
Now, you had asked me if the show goes into Manatee and Sarasota County, which it does. We cover the whole state, we cover the whole country, honestly, but our broadcast goes into Sarasota, Manatee as well. And you said those folks are still dealing with the impacts from Helene.
Oh yeah, no. We have people in Pinellas and Pasco right now, Hillsborough County, Manatee, Sarasota. All of them still have been impacted tremendously by Helene and Milton. We have great amount of partners and funders and corporations who are helping us to deliver the repair services. Unfortunately, we cannot do a total renovation of the house, but we make sure that with our work, the house is in living conditions. So we may finish the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedrooms, and the floor still is bare concrete, but within time you can figure it out and do it yourself. We're still dealing with people impacted by EM.
Oh, wow.
So
really?
we get funding from Lee County and Charlotte County as well to address EM impacted people. I mean, it was a great amount of homes that were impacted, and it was it is still some difficulties. You have houses that were impacted, but they really didn't notice it until later when rain starts coming more often, and then they realize. So presently, we are helping a lot of homeowners who were impacted, but they didn't realize it at the time. They just eventually notice the water coming through the roof or the windows and things like that. So
now you have a hurricane kit that you guys put together, and you said there's actually a way that the folks can actually get one of these, and so
yeah.
Tell them. So what do we got here? So let's go through this.
So where we realized it was that the problem wasn't getting people prepared to deal with hurricane. There is no way you can find ways to prepare unless your roof and your windows and your entire body of the house is protected, okay? And that costs a lot of money. The problem that we found, especially with Helene and Milton, which we noticed with Ian, was communication, was to know what's going on. Once you lose power and the battery in your phone dies, you need to recharge it. And if you don't have electricity, you recharge it with a solar panel charger.
Yep, I've got a couple of these. They work really well.
Yes, and that
this is a crank radio.
Crank radio
works really
which
well.
allows also to send a SOS signal.
Okay, so a couple of questions. One was asking the name of the company again.
Rebuilding Together Greater Florida.
And how do folks is there a website based the same
Sure,
name?
they can either Google us as a Rebuilding Together Greater Florida or go to rtgfl.org.
Okay.
And there is if you want to communicate, just send us an email at info@rtgfl.org, and we have 5 people in the office just responding to those info emails.
Okay. All right, we got to hit a break. We'll be back in 90 seconds, and we'll go over more of what we have here and how you can prepare yourself as we upcome in this hurricane season. Back in 90 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. James, such a wonderful community service group. So he's familiar with your, so that's from James. I don't know if you know James Drowson. So what is the, let's see, what is this? So with the high cost, what's the best way to prepare your home on a budget? Is that something that y'all?
I can talk about it.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll do that when we come back out of the break. We have 1:06. Yeah, I have one of these as well. They're also a flashlight.
They're a flashlight.
And the radio. And you know what's helpful is because after post hurricanes, you know sometimes we broadcast our signal on local radio stations. We have a partnership with the radio stations, so you won't be able to see it, but you'll be able to hear it. And it was always interesting because I had to tailor what I do on TV because I realized people weren't watching, they were listening.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go and say, look at this right here. I would have to describe it differently in the coverage because people are listening on the radio as opposed to watching on TV because they might not have TV signal. All right, we are back in 25 more. Yeah, there's what is rtgfl.org is what Charlotte just posted the thing. Yeah, they're posting definitely all the links for you here. Where do you get the solar chargers? Ann wants to know.
Well, we actually have the bags ready to be. We still haven't decided.
Okay, we're back. It's always challenging because we're talking and answering questions live on social and streaming, but at the same time, people on a commercial break. A lot of questions are coming up. Right off the bat, we were talking about the chargers and the solar panels. And how do people get them?
Yes. So what they can do is just keep up with our website. We are about to have an event in June where we're going to distribute 450 of these bags to the community where they can come and pick up. We're going to be with other nonprofits. I still don't have the final information, but it's going to be in June. And it's all about housing, not necessarily only to be prepared for a hurricane. It's all about housing. And we should be distributing 450 of these bags, which is distribute 380 with another company, and we just finished putting all this together with Progressive, and we are going to distribute in June.
Awesome.
And then eventually we will go do the same in August and September, assuming that we don't have to change our mode from preparing to deploying recovery.
Makes sense. And again, the website is rtgfl.org. And that's on the website. I mean, that's on the comments, rtgfl.org. And they were asking about these cranked radios. And I was talking about, it was interesting because we have radio partners. We've done this when a hurricane comes, people lose their power. Very often they lose their television. So what our radio partners do, they take our signal on TV and they broadcast it on the radio.
Absolutely.
But what's different is that I go on TV and I say, oh, look at this area of rain. You can't see it because you're listening. So I have to change my delivery on air. And instead I will say, instead of saying, look at this, I'll say, okay, there is an area of wind between Pinellas Park and whatever. But these crank things are awesome because there's your power, right? It also has a flashlight. Works, and you see that. And you said it also has an SOS signal?
It has an SOS signal. So because we noticed communication was the worst piece out of it. If you are stranded with water all around you, you need to find ways to ask for help.
And these solar chargers, these phone chargers work very well. I have several of these as well. They are flashlights, but obviously you may be without power for a prolonged period of time. So you put this outside, it can charge,
and you charge your phone.
And you can charge your phone. And you can, put it outside during the day, and you can still charge your phone at night, obviously, because it will maintain it.
That's right. That's right. And there are a few more things in there that it helps you. This is the typical envelope where the bag where you put the most important documents. You always have to have this regardless because that's what you're gonna need. And we also have the first aid kit. You will be amazed how many people get hurt because they don't have any electricity. They can't even see where they're walking in the night. And we have come out. This is the result of our team asking questions and surveying homeowners impacted already. They are the ones who told us, I was completely disconnected with the world. And you got to know what's going on right after because that's where the help comes.
Right, absolutely. And these crank radios can be a lifesaver when it comes to that. I storm chased in Beaumont, Texas, and we actually ended up using a crank radio to listen to the local radio stations to see what was going on.
That's right.
And we have one more break to hit. Again, the website is rtgfl.org. We'll be back with our last segment as Dennis Phillips Live continues. The show just flies. It goes so fast.
It goes so fast.
It does. There was another question I had. What was it? It was
You want to ask the question about how to prepare.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we need to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah. And then we'll have about 3 minutes when we come back out. That's the last hit. Here's the. Let me get. Oops. Sorry. Let me get the. See, there's an advantage of not wearing shoes. I can pick up things that fell with my socks.
Yeah, he's doing all of that.
All right, put that back in there. Yeah, I have all of these in my kit. Every one of them, I have that same stuff. Oops. All right,
Well,
we'll get it. Well, how much time we got? 45 seconds. We're good.
Sorry, Dennis.
No, we're good. Anybody else have any more questions? Let's see. I've had a hurricane radio since Charlie. This is Hurricane Charlie. But how long have you lived in this area?
I've been living 24 years, being with the organization 20. I actually was their first executive director and grew it from there.
Were you here when Charlie, in 04?
Yes.
So you were here with Charlie and
Irma.
Oh, the budget. That's right. What is
The budget.
Yeah. What about budgeting for hurricane supplies? Yeah. All right, we're back in 10 seconds.
Oops. I'm doing this back here.
Okay, back in 3, 2. It flies. I was just thinking of Jose. This show goes so fast when we have so much information.
We could be all day.
Yeah, and we could. And we have so much to talk. But we do want to talk a little bit about budgeting for preparation and for how to put your kits together. What's your suggestion on that?
Well, it all depends the number of people in your home. If you have children, you need to make sure that you need to feed them. So you need to have food for them, water for sure, making sure that you are ready to escape in case, make sure you have enough gas in your car. And if you have to leave town because you've been ordered to leave, you need to be prepared for that. Have cash is always good because it's the best way to go with cash because you may be ending with not be able to use your credit cards and so forth. Now, if you choose to stay in your house, your biggest concern is going to be always what can come through the window. I mean, ideal is that you replace your roof today if it's 15 years or older.
But that's hard to do. Not a lot of people can afford that.
They're very expensive. Although, if you have certain income limit, we could help, okay? Windows, protect your windows, making sure that there are no flying objects around. Plywood is always good. So maybe it's time to measure your windows and be able to install plywood just in case something happens. Plywood works if you have one-story home. Once you have two-story, now you need to hire somebody to help you to install it when it happens.
So here's what we're going to do. We're off in 45 seconds on TV. We're going to continue on streaming and socials and answer a few more questions coming up. I do want to mention one thing for the TV viewers, and this is so important, and I know you know this too. Generators. Never, ever run a portable generator in your garage or in your home. Ever. Carbon monoxide fumes are deadly. It happens every time. You have to keep it outside to get your power for the inside.
You don't see it, you don't smell it, neither.
Exactly, yeah. So folks, thanks for checking in on The Spot. As always, we appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow night, and we're going to continue for a few minutes on social. Have a great night. And we're in the break. We hit it. All right. Yeah, that's something that is just, I remember I think it was Irma, and storm moved onshore, and there was a family in Polk County, and there was a family of 4 that died from carbon monoxide poisoning because so many people, they're new to the area, right? They know that they want a generator because they've heard, hey, it's great to have some power after a storm, but they just never knew you could not run it.
Yeah, you got to be very careful. You know, now they're coming with the solar panel generators as well.
Really?
Yes, they're amazing. And they're a little bit expensive, but the reason is because they still haven't, I guess, they haven't hit the market really the way it's supposed to be. But you have solar panel generators, may not have the same power that the gas generator,
Right.
but you will have enough again to charge your phone, to charge your computer, your laptop, and trying to get internet, things like that.
I mean, it does make sense, I guess. I mean, I guess the question would be, would they power your refrigerator? Or would they power, that? And I guess it depends.
They would, and it all depends the type of solar panel generator. Because at the end of the day, you're going to charge it with a battery that is going to run it. So, yes. But you wouldn't be able to plug in too many devices into it.
Well, and that's right. That ultimately, I guess that's your question. I mean, I guess you could probably buy a more expensive one that probably has more horsepower, if you will, more power for it.
You got those wonderful ones that now they can come and install it in the Generac or something like that. Anybody wants one of those.
Matter of fact, yeah. If you look at our sponsor here on the 7-day,
I bet it's in there.
That's what it is. So,
I want one of those toys also.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. You can get it from the Generator Supercenter right there.
There you go.
So, but yeah, it's I remember, after Irma, we lost power for about a week, and I think so many folks think, okay, we're going to ride the storm out, we're going to make it through, and then once the storm's over, they figure, we're okay, we made it through. They forget you're in Florida, 90-degree heat, no power for a week. It's miserable. It's miserable. And it can be dangerous.
Yeah. And the other thing it is, we're making campaigns also in Volusia, Jacksonville area. They haven't been hit with a storm the way we did here with Helene for quite some time. So, people forget. People forget they don't have any as life as we have it, because we just got 2 years ago, and it was right after Ian, and we have Idalia and all those things. But you got to be prepared at all time.
Yeah.
And now hurricanes go all the way, the coast all the way to northeast, and
yeah, and it's challenging too, because there's Floridians always had an apathy. It's not going to hit us. Oh, we're going to be okay. And I think Helene and Milton was eye-opening for them. I hope that the memories remain fresh in their mind, in the sense, because Max Mayfield used to be the director of the National Hurricane Center, and he said Floridians suffer from hurricane amnesia because we forget how much of an impact it is. And you can argue even in South Florida. I mean, the last really major storm in South Florida, you can argue, was Andrew. I mean, they've had many since, but not as many in the last 15 years as previous.
Nothing impactful.
Yes, exactly.
It was impactful, view-wise, it was impactful seeing all those houses completely blown away. So, and Ian and Fort Myers also area, I mean, we're still dealing with homeowners impacted by Ian. They're expecting about 10 years worth of recovery when it comes to housing. And housing that was impacted, water came through, nobody was able to do anything. And every time we go and take a look at one, they are even worse than they were before. I mean, some of them needs to come down.
And what was awful about Ian, as we all know this, is the track kept changing, and a lot of folks in that area just did not think they were going to get it.
No.
And so, preparations are hard enough as it is, but a preparation when you don't even think it's going to come, you're not going to make that prep.
You need to assume that something is coming.
Yeah.
You need to assume. Look at what happened with Nicole and Volusia. It was a tropical storm, but flooded the entire area. We just finished about 25 repairs of homes impacted by Nicole.
Wow. Yeah, and
it was flooded. It wasn't actual rain
it was
coming through the roof.
Right, it was surge. One other thing, we were talking about Charlie, and back in '04, and you were here, but 6 hours before landfall, that track was directly over Tampa. 6 hours. and then it made that last second turn and hit Punta Gorda, and nobody in Punta Gorda was expecting that.
It was 2004 when we had 5 storms coming through it. One actually went to the Atlantic and came around.
That was Gene. And yep, Gene, Francis, Ivan, and Charlie.
I tell many people that, because I used to live in D.C., I tell many people about that, and they can't believe it. No, no, no. It went all the way to the Atlantic, and it's like, oh, I haven't done enough damage.
Right
Let me
back.
go back.
I lost my roof in that house, from that storm. Yes, I did. I lived in Tarpon at the time. They're asking, Michelle asked, do you fill bathtubs with water to flush toilets? You absolutely do.
Yeah.
You want to fill. I have a list, a really great hurricane kit list that I'm going to post coming up soon over the years from what my family's put together. And a washing machine, you fill a washing. There's a lot of things that people don't realize that they can do. And maybe you're not going to drink that water, but you can use it to flush the toilet or whatever the case may be. Usually it's 1 gallon of water per person per day. That's usually the estimate of what you need. And there's always the expression, the first 72 is up to you. And usually that's the mindset that you're not going to have help from folks for the first 3 to 5 days.
No, because everybody is just in the rescue part. And while you are on the rescue part, nobody's going to pay attention to your needs. If you are alive, that's all we need to know.
Yep. And it's not that they don't care, it's that there's not enough people.
No, it's not enough people. You need to find whoever really got hurt.
Yeah. And the same thing with evacuations. And we're going to talk all about this coming up soon. It is, you do not have to evacuate. If you're on the water, you don't have to evacuate hundreds of miles. You can evacuate 10 miles. You just want, the old expression remains the same. Hide from the wind, run from the water.
That's right.
And, you know, and Helene was a perfect example.
And, you know,
I
think evacuations is such a hard thing for people to do, because that means to leave your house behind. And it's very hard. People feel much safer in their own home, even when they know that powerful storm is coming their way. So it's very hard for people to leave home. Yeah. Very hard.
And unfortunately, in our Stormwatch special, which is coming up next week, I interviewed the folks in Pinellas County, and 12 people died. 12 people drowned in Helene. And this is something that we're going to talk a lot about, but the overwhelming feeling is they didn't have any place to go. In their minds, they had no way to get out because they didn't have a car, and they had no place to go. And that's just not the case. Pinellas County, and I know many other counties, offer transportation and offer a place for these people to go. You just have to let them know in time. In time. Because once the wind starts blowing, it's too late.
Yeah. And they have a lot of volunteers who will go with their trucks and everything to pick them up. Yeah. So, yeah, they've been preparing. I think our area is more prepared than ever, precisely because we just went through Helene and Milton. And to some degree, we also were impacted by Idalia and Ian, and it's pretty close. So our agencies are much more prepared. Now, every day we get more people coming to live here, and those are not quite understanding what it is or how to get prepared. I wasn't when I came in 2002. You know, I didn't understand the power of a hurricane other than what I see on TV. You know, but which is the other part. We need to make sure we're constantly educating people about the danger of any storm. Again, it can be a tropical storm and damage your house, and you are in trouble.
And that was a valuable lesson for me as well, because I used to catch myself in saying, oh, it's just a tropical storm. And that when it comes to wind damage, tropical storms normally don't do a lot of wind damage, but they can push a ton of water. And remember Ada a few years back?
Yes.
I mean, Ada had about a 6-foot surge for just a tropical storm. And I remember before you lived here, back in 1995, Josephine, tropical storm. I ended up walking in Pasco County. We were covering it, just a tropical storm. I was on US 19 with waist-deep water from just a tropical storm. So normally they're not going to cause a lot of damage with wind, but the water is, again, the biggest threat.
You must respect it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, with water, if you wait too long, you're stuck, because nobody can come in and get you once the water's coming.
And damage your house big time.
Yeah.
You're talking about mold and mildew after that.
Oh, that's,
you need to.
You're dealing with that? Is that stuff that you're still dealing with?
As soon we are okay to go to the houses, we go and do the mock and guiding of the house. So we make sure it dries up. And then a month or two, depends how the funding comes, we start to go back to the houses and make sure we build back.
Well, and so many people are saying they feel like they have PTSD after Helene and Milton, just because this, again, most folks who lived in this area have never gone through that kind of a storm before. And I'll say this again, Helene, which brought all that water, was still almost 150 miles offshore. We got that kind of surge with a storm that was well over 100 miles offshore. Yeah. Imagine if it had been onshore.
We were lucky.
And it's so, I struggle with those words because we were. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who said, Dennis, I wasn't lucky, I lost my home. So I guess I can say it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, yeah. Number-wise, of people impacted, affected, and maybe even life losses.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we had 12 people drown, and like I said, in talking with Pinellas County folks, the majority of those people that had expressed concern to neighbors and whatnot that they talked to afterwards said they had no place to go. In their minds, they had no place to go and they had no way to get out, so they were just going to ride it out. If they had known, and that is my goal, that when I'm on TV and a storm is coming, I am going to over and over say, if you're on the water and you think you can't get out, you can get out. You just have to ask the right people.
Yeah, and you got to get out.
Yeah.
And you got to get out.
So
the water will come to you.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. It was great. And
I'm sorry for all the mess I did with the bag.
This is awesome. And if you do me a favor, could you email me when the next event, when you decide when it's going to be?
And I'll make sure I share it with everyone.
And then I will post it on here and we'll talk about it on the show.
Absolutely. So
everybody, thanks again, Jose. Appreciate it. You guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. And we will see you on tomorrow night's edition of Dennis Phillips Live. See you guys.